Hello, this is Jon Speelman with Game of the Day for the fourth round of the Norway Tournament in Stavanger, sponsored by Altibox. It's been an interesting round, but all 5 games were drawn, which means that Magnus Carlsen remains half a point ahead of MVL and Kramnik. The games, although they were drawn, there was plenty of fight in them, and the one I've chosen is this one between Giri and Aronian, because although in the end it petered out, it was very there was a lot of action earlier on. So let's have a look at it, and what's happening is that these boys have prepared for each other properly. They actually played a game in Moscow whenever it was, a month or so ago, at the candidates with the line that they now follow. So heaven knows how much work that they've done on it. Nowadays black players normally play this move order when they're going for a Queen's Gambit decline rather than d4, d5, because this deters knight c3, bishop b4. I mean, obviously, of course, you can play the Nimzo Indian as white, but many people prefer not to. So knight f3 and now d5. Obviously, there are other choices. There's the Queen's Indian, there's the Bogo Indian, there's the modern Benoni even. Okay, but Aronian is reasonably solid nowadays, actually, in his openings, much more than he used to be. And bishop f4, which is what Giri played against him in Moscow. Castles, e3, and of course everybody used to go c5, d takes c5, and all that stuff. But nowadays they tend to go knight bd7, which gives you the opportunity of recapturing on c5 with the knight if you play c5. And white often plays c5 here. c6 and h3. White can also play bishop d3 immediately, and in lots of games black has played b6, but knight h5 is presumably what everybody is afraid of, given that they play h3. I don't know, afraid of is a bit strong, but it's the thing they're concerned about. I mean, bishop d3, b6, b4, a5, a3, bishop a6, takes, b5, takes, c6, queen c8, b7, c7, b4. This was the famous game, or many games, but the famous game Anand against Carlsen, which he won in their second match. And Carlsen hasn't, as far as I know, touched this since. It's a very difficult line. You need to be extremely well prepared. I could be wrong about Magnus. Anyway, so bishop d3. Anyway, they normally go h3 nowadays to prevent the bishop being exchanged, and that's what happened. So h3, b6, b4, a5, a3. They used to go bishop a6 here, but then they realized that white doesn't have an especially good waiting move at this moment. And so they started playing h6. And white really doesn't have a better move than bishop d3. Now you play bishop a6. And there are long lines in which having the extra move h6 is important. In particular, if you start going... Well, if you go b5, black just goes bishop b7, then nothing happens. If you go bishop takes and b5, then there are very long lines. Trust me, I ought to know them, but don't. I mean, I'm merely saying that there is huge amount of analysis, and it's at some point black has to waste a temper playing h6, and therefore having played h6 already greatly improves the line. And this is why white nowadays doesn't play takes and b5. I mean, the line starts